Madam Clerk?
Councilman Bodier.
Present.
Councilman Chatelain.
Present.
Councilman Hewitt.
Present.
Councilman Landry.
Present.
Councilman Murray.
Present.
Mayor Mosca.
Present.
And Captain Adams is sitting in as chief. Fire Chief St. Cyr. And City Attorney Corsell.
All right, under special presentation, we're going to take up the church. If you want to come up now.
I'm Sheila Marriott, and I work at Cannon Hospice, and tomorrow we are having an event at Harahan Gym. We are having a party for our elderly, and we have no minimum age limit, and so anybody's welcome, and contrary to what it reads on the flyer, it's not only nursing homes and all of our elderly are invited. Oh, especially, tell everybody. We will have a volleyball, balloon volleyball. We will have cakewalks. We will have music. What else? I have a blank. I have a huge blank. But anyway, it'll be a blast. If I just didn't have to work, I would be with them. And it's not all my job. But we want you to tell people, bring people out, and it's all free. And everybody will leave with a package of prizes, and it'll be a blast. And also, here are my church friends. I am with St. Paul's United Methodist Church, and I play piano there, and we are having a fundraiser. Take a shot. I made one T-shirt, and here it is. Here's my shirt. Hi, Mom.
My name is Vesta Tankersley, and I'm a member of St. Paul's United Methodist Church. I'd like to thank you for your help and support with our fundraising scheduled for Saturday, November the 16th. Benny Grunch and the Bunch will be there to entertain us. Foods from our local restaurants, and the price of the food is included in the ticket. The tickets are only $15. We will have a silent auction. We'll have prizes. We'll have games for the children. So it's going to be a real nice event, a family event. For over 77 years, St. Paul's United Methodist Church has been sharing the good news of the gospel of Jesus Christ throughout the community and the world through its outreach ministry. We have provided school uniforms and supplies to the students at the Harahan Elementary School. We offer tutoring to children through the STARE program, Start the Adventure in Reading. We collect items for the Harahan Jefferson Parish Food Pantry through St. Rita's Catholic Church. We provide a meal to the Harahan Police and Fire Department annually for their faithful service to our community. Plus, we have many more outreach programs. So join us for this occasion. Your consideration and support for this event is greatly appreciated. Thank you, and may God bless each one of you.
Next, we have an announcement from Darlene Schwartz.
I know this is a packed agenda tonight, so I'll make this very short. Saturday, October 26th, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., Harahan Police Department will once again be joining with the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration for the National Prescription Drug Take-Back Day. Again, this is going to afford you the opportunity to get rid of your unused, unwanted, expired prescription and over-the-counter drugs. Please don't flush them down the toilet. Please don't put them down the drain. It pollutes the water supply. Leaving it laying around, throwing it away in garbages allows kids and teenagers to dig into it and really get sick or perhaps cause themselves death from using this stuff. It's disposed of properly by the federal government. We've done really, really well with this. This is a twice-a-year event, so again, Saturday, October 26th. 2 areas you can drop off: Rite Aid Pharmacy up the road here on Jefferson Highway in the parking lot, and also in the police department, the Harahan Police Department's lobby, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Please raid your medicine cabinets and drop this stuff off, get rid of it. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have a motion by Councilman Chatelain to suspend the rules for a permit. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Bodier. All in favor? Any opposed? 5 yeas, no nays?
Yay.
Councilman Chatelain?
Jimmy from the Athletic Association has a couple announcements about the Jambalaya cook-off.
We're having our second annual Jambalaya Cook-Off at the playground, November 2nd. It starts at noon to 6 o'clock. There's no gate fee, but if you want to taste the jambalaya, it's $10 for adults, $5 for children. We're going to have inflatables for the kids. We have a DJ out there. Should be a good time. We had a good time last year. I believe we're up to 16 teams so far this year. We're judging first place and second place jambalaya, and we're doing a people's choice. I'd like to invite everybody from Harahan and surrounding areas to come out and join us.
Still openings to enter.
Still open to enter, November 2nd. We have flyers in the foyer if anybody'd like one. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a motion to amend the agenda by Councilman Landry, second by Councilman Bodier, to go to resolutions. Mr. Hugh Martin, all in favor? Any opposed? 5 yeas, no nays. Mr. Martin? Madam Clerk, this is a resolution declaring the intention of the City of Harahan, State of Louisiana, to issue sewer revenue bonds in one or more series in an amount not to exceed $4,250,000 for the purpose of paying a portion of the cost of constructing and acquiring additions, extensions, and improvements to the wastewater system of said city and providing for other matters in connection therewith. Mr. Martin?
Thank you, Mayor, council members, and ladies and gentlemen. The resolution before you is the first step in financing the needed improvements to the sewer system. As we all know, our sewer system in Harahan needs lots of refurbishing. This procedure is established as state law to get the authorization for the city to issue the bond. And that authorization is obtained by adopting this resolution tonight, which authorizes the publication of a notice of intention in the official journal. And that notice of intention will say that the city will hold a public hearing on December the 19th at your meeting on the question of the issuance of these bonds, at which time information will be furnished to the public concerning the bonds. The bonds are to be payable from the monthly service charge that you now pay for sewage, which is on your water bill. After that hearing, then if there's a finding that there's support for the project, then the council will adopt another resolution applying to the State Bond Commission for approval for the issuance of the bonds. Now, these bonds are to be sold to an agency of the state of Louisiana, the DEQ, at a very advantageous interest rate of 0.94%, less than 1%. So it's about as good a deal as you could hope to get for a loan. And once that approval is obtained, while all this is going on, the engineers employed by the city are preparing plans and specifications in accordance with the regulations of the state. And once those are approved by the state, and then there's the city goes out for bids to get a contractor price to build the improvements, and at that point the state approves it, and the bonds are actually delivered to the state, and the city gets the check to pay for the construction. So it's a routine thing, but very important thing for the city. Are there any questions from anyone? I'd be happy to.
Do you have the
talk.
resolution, sir? or Do we
Yes,
have it?
I have the resolution.
All right, do we need to vote on that now?
You need to vote on that now.
All right, any discussion regarding the resolution?
I have two questions, though. I have two questions, Mr. Barton. Is it
Sure.
okay we should vote first?
Sure.
Next question? But one thing, is Harahan rated like another municipality across the country when it comes to bond issuance? Or is it too
Harahan-
small for that?
Harahan is so small, and it comes to market so seldom that it does not have an established rating. Now, if we had a substantial bond issue that needed to come up, we could obtain a rating probably on the city, and I'd have to guess, educated guess of what it would be. It would probably be an A rating on the bonds, which is a good marketable bond. In this particular instance, though, it doesn't matter because we're not selling the bonds on the open market. The state is bonded under their program at 0.94%, which you could never get on the open market, no matter how good your rating was. So it's not critical for them.
And one more question. When the money does come available, they give it to us as the project goes? They're not going to give us one lump sum of $4 million?
What happens is you get
I'm sorry. I'll speak in the mic better. Sorry.
yes, the question was, if you didn't hear it, does the city get the money in one lump sum or as the project goes? The way it works, the money is made available, but they are drawdowns on the total amount from the state. They are stage payments as the contractor progresses to other stages. They send it, you all approve a payment order, and the payment order is sent to Baton Rouge, and Baton Rouge okays it. They satisfied the work has been done, and then the payment is made to the contractor.
That's the way I'd like to see it happen,
Yeah.
and that's good.
So it's
Can y'all hear me now?
You get a lot of eyes looking at the process this way.
Good.
Yeah.
That's all for me, Mayor.
Councilman Shedling?
This resolution we're going to pass tonight, hopefully, this resolution we're going to pass tonight, that just sets us up to apply for it, correct?
Well, we've already applied and received approval. This is the
Yeah.
legal
Right.
process to get
Right.
the
So
money.
Yeah,
I just want to explain that to the citizens so they don't think we're passing this and we're going to get this money automatically. We'll have another process on December 19th.
Correct.
Where this will come in front of us again,
There's more
correct?
legal procedure before we get the money, yes.
Yeah,
Exactly. I just want to make sure the
right.
citizens didn't think, we pass this tonight, we get this money, we repair the sewer system. It's
Right.
still a process that's going to take place.
Correct. Councilman Bodier?
No discussion.
Councilman Murray?
Yes, I do. Mayor, I didn't know about this. Well, I did, just briefly. We have no rating, and I thought that we were given preliminary approval, not complete approval from the state.
We have gotten
No.
approval from
Total
the state-
approval?
In the microphone, Mayor.
From DEQ and the state. yes.
Total approval?
As long as the bond commission
grant-
approves it, yes.
If I may, the
Please.
grant has been committed to the state, to the city. We have a commitment that we will get it, but it's subject to meeting all the requirements of law. And the very first requirement is to have this public hearing and get input from the citizens and see if there's support for the project.
And by no means this is the beginning to say, yes, we have, and I'm just reiterating, by no means does this mean that we are starting, this is just a process to begin. It does not approve it.
That's correct. In fact, we won't be starting for some time because the engineering plans and specifications have to be complete, they have to be forwarded to Baton Rouge, and they have to be approved by Baton Rouge. by DEQ,
Before you get them.
Before you get the money.
But if we
Who
meet all the
pays for all
criteria,
of
we
that?
basically
Yeah, if you
approve.
meet
Who
all-
pays
and you
for all
will-
of that?
You will, I mean, municipalities all over the state do this, and you will fit very nicely into this.
Okay, who pays for the engineering firm to do that? Who pays for all of the
All of
preliminary
that comes out of
processes?
the bond issue.
Okay, if we don't get the bond, then we would have to pay for this?
I think generally the engineers work on a contingency basis. I'm not sure, Mayor, if that's true in this case or not. In other words, and the fee, my firm earns a fee too for doing this. We work on a contingency basis. If for any reason the bonds are never delivered, we do not bill you for anything.
Okay, but that still doesn't happen, that we know definitely that the engineering firm and the other firms that will be available or have to make a report will also do the same on contingency.
That would be something that could be addressed at the public hearing.
Okay, so when we do this public hearing on the 19th, it'll be strictly to discuss all those matters.
Yes, correct.
Did you by chance, just out of curiosity, did you by chance put numbers together to see about how much it would wind up costing us per month on this $4 million?
Since you've put an increase in your monthly service charge some time ago for sewer services, the preliminary figures, which were done not by my office, but by the engineers, indicate that that fee will be sufficient to retire the bonds. These bonds are payable from the monthly service charges that are paid by
I
the
understand, but do
customers.
you know what the figure is?
I don't have it with me, but
Do we have that, Mayor? The figure that it would be?
That hasn't
By a
been
month?
determined yet because I'm trying to decide, I'd like to pay less upfront and more after a period of time to accumulate
right.
the money.
There's another unknown about this because the size of the loan is going to be determined upon what the bid comes in for the improvements. As you will notice, a resolution says not exceeding the $4 million.
Right. So at Port Point,
So if the bids come in low and there is a cushion in there which which exceeds what we think the bid or what we've been told by the engineers, they expect the bid to be. But just for the being able to go forward, if it comes in a little higher, you'd be covered by this. But we expect it'll be lower. And you won't know that until you get the bids in.
okay. I made some, several months ago, I made some, I believe, preliminary figures just working on it, that it was like $224,000 a month.
No.
Am I right on that or not?
A 30-year time, a 30-year period of.
Or was it a 30-year or 20-year period?
I think it was a 30-year.
What, how long is it to pay back the loan, the bond?
30 years?
I think we averaged
Yeah,
18 to
this is
20,000.
This
Okay.
is 23 years.
Was that, maybe it was 240,000 a year that I
This is
looked for.
22 years.
240,000 a year, okay.
year,
I don't
yeah.
remember, that's why I'm asking.
Well, I don't have the figures with me. Other people in my office worked on that.
Okay.
And I wouldn't want to tell you a wrong figure.
Right, right. And you think the fees, and what are we projecting our fees to be, that's the increase would be? Do you know, you don't have any of those figures?
I don't
Okay,
think, we're not expecting an increase.
okay,
Not expecting an increase.
okay.
That
Thank
does
you, that's
mean
it.
that maybe after we get all the bids in and prices don't come in where we are, you might need one. But as of this point, we're not expecting one.
Thank you.
So, and, I'm sorry.
I don't have anything.
Right, so, any discussion? All in favor?
Yay.
Any opposed?
Yay.
5 yeas, no nays. Now, do we need to read anything else, sir?
Only thing we need to do is publish in the newspaper this notice, which I'll give to the clerk
Right.
now.
Okay.
which was-
I know we have a lot on the agenda. We have a motion by Landry, second by Bodier, to go into executive session with Mr. Martin to complete the paperwork on this, as well as to discuss one legal matter. So, we'll be in recess.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Yay.
Any
Yay.
opposed? 5 yeas, no nays. We'll do as quick as we can.
Just a couple hours.
And, these business about the sewer bonds are very, very important to us, and I'll have Mr. Martin address this one more time.
In connection with the discussion on bond issue.
To the mic.
In connection, can you hear me now? In connection with the discussion on the sewer bonds, we have a notice to read. This is a notice of public hearing. And this is going to be published beginning Sunday in the Picayune. It will be published 4 consecutive weeks. That the notice will say this: notice is hereby given that the city of Harahan, state of Louisiana, plans to consider a resolution authorizing an ad valorem tax election to be held within the city at its meeting on Thursday, November the 21st, 2013, at 7:30. It's a regular November meeting, be a public hearing here at the council chambers of the City Hall, 6437 Jefferson Highway, Harahan, Louisiana. So it's very clear and that have a public hearing.
Thank you. And we also have to amend the agenda, motion by Councilman Shanley, second by Councilman Landry, for a first reading, Madam Clerk, for our present millage.
Can we get a copy of that?
Yeah. You need this, Madam Clerk? Yeah.
The following ordinance was proposed unanimously by the council of the city of Harahan. Ordinance, Mayor?
Ordinance or resolution?
Ordinance.
That's ordinance.
It's an ordinance. An ordinance levying a tax of 13.87 mils on each dollar of assessed valuation on all taxable properties in the city of Harahan for the year 2013, and authorizing the tax collector to collect the said taxes on all the taxable property within the incorporated limits of the city of Harahan, and to otherwise provide with respect thereto.
And that's a first reading, Madam Clerk.
Yes, sir.
Okay, next, we'll have address the council. I know Ashley had some, is he here? Is Ashley here? I think he had some
A presentation.
presentation, yeah. All right. The council.
This is under special presentations?
I'm sorry?
This is under special presentations? or
It's on address the council.
Okay.
No, I have to address the council tonight.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. All right, anyone wishing to address the council, you're free to do so.
Dale Seminole, 140 McHugh. St. Rita Parish in Harahan would like to invite everyone to the 21st Annual St. Rita Pecan Festival to be held on Friday, November 8th, Saturday, November 9th, and Sunday, November 10th. The Festival Planning Committee has been working all year on this, and they're very excited because this is going to be the best festival yet. There are some new activities with the festival. This year, we're bringing the pecans back to the Pecan Festival. There will be a pecan shack that we will have pecan candy, pepper jelly, pralines, pecan turtles, also pecan T-shirts, and also there's going to be a brand-new parish, school and parish cookbook. I don't have one to show, but I do have the cover. It's at print right now as I speak, and this cookbook will be available as 267 recipes from parishioners and friends and family at St. Rita Parish. Will be available at this new pecan shack. We'll have a plant booth, a Haydale Bakery's cakewalk, and for the LSU and Saints fans, there's LSU and Saint football games that weekend. Well, there's going to be a big Jumbotron TV. So we invite all the fans to come out for those LSU and Saints and have a big tailgate party and watch the game at the festival. There will be our spaghetti dinner on Sunday. And this year we have a family that volunteered to make the meatballs homemade, authentic Italian homemade meatballs at this spaghetti dinner. So it's going to be really good. We're going to have the food from different restaurants. And also, again, we are fortunate to have a Harahan resident that will be at the festival that will be making some mighty good muffaladas on Saturday and Sunday. And they will be freshly made to order. And is that correct, Mayor? Saturday or
Correct.
Sunday? So we invite everybody to come out and get a muffalata. We had a lot of good compliments about rides. We're going to have the same ride company this year. And also, there's going to be a section called Little Pecan Grove Kids with activities for the young kids. There's going to be a dance party, face painting magic shows, karate demonstrations, and a photo booth. And this particular area is made possible by the generosity of two Harahan citizens, Dane and Paula Doucette, and we thank them for that, because they're making this possible. We're going to have some music, the band's Friday night band camp, Saturday Category 6, and Sunday Groovy 7. I have left some Pecan Festival flyers on the table here in the foyer for more information. Also, the Pecan Festival is on Facebook, and also the Pecan Festival has a website, and it's www.strita, that's STRITA, StRitaPecanFestival.com. The Facebook page and the website is current, is up to date. The website has information on all activities, times, the different foods that are available, the band schedule, anything to do with the Pecan Festival as far as information will be on this website. Pastor John Aroni, Father Kyle Sanders, and the principal, Miss Miriam Daniels, would like to thank everyone who's been involved this year in planning the festival and that are volunteering this weekend. Especially like to thank the business individuals who sponsor the festival to make it possible. There is something for all families of all members of the family of all ages. So we invite everyone again to come out and visit and enjoy the St. Rita Pecan Festival. Thank you. And also, I just want to thank the Harahan Police Department and Fire Department for being on site that weekend. And I just want to thank them also for their service to the Harahan community all year round, 24/7, to make this a very safe community for us to live. Thank you so much.
My name is Roy Richardson. My address is 404C Southgate House Drive, Metairie. I'm a former member of the Harahan City Council. Mayor, council members, just think if Colonial had listened to the council, to myself and the rest of the council, when I served on the council, you would not have that issue with Colonial at this time. However, Colonial was driven by greed, and greed destroyed Colonial. I worked with Colonial for almost 2 years, and when I saw that it was going to be an act of futility, in order to keep the track from being overdeveloped, I introduced an ordinance, and I want it made known in case it's forgotten, in case members of the council don't know it, that there's, I think, still an ordinance on the books where the lot size in Colonial track cannot be smaller than, I made it 75 feet wide, and I think it was 100 feet and 50 feet deep, but I think it was amended to be 125 feet. So that ordinance, I don't think it's been repealed. So I wanted to do that in case Colonial track ever got developed into residential homes, so it wouldn't be track houses. The other thing that was looked at that time was a mini pump to the river. It's a little expensive, but there was a feasibility study done on it. It was to divert the rain runoff water into a culvert, a box culvert that would be built in the ditch that is on the side of Colonial, right there between the homes and the west side of Colonial. It backs up to Councilman Murray's house. And to take and put a mini pump out by the levee to drain all that water. So Jefferson Parish is doing something like this now. and they doing a mini pump. I think Paul Johnson can tell. It's at the end of Sauve Road, I believe. He knows more about it. The other thing I wanted to, the points that I wanted to make is that I think commercial development at that area on Colonial Track is out of character with the residential area. That tract of land is contiguous to homes on all three sides. And I think to rezone that commercial would be an insult to the Harahan residents. And I thank you, Mayor. I thank you, Council, for your time.
Thank you.
My name is Blaise LeBlanc. I live at 183 Colonial Club, and I was here for the October 3rd Zone Board meeting, and one of the Harahan residents, the first individual who spoke, he spoke about a higher obligation, a higher moral ethic of the city council and of the zoning board, and what he was speaking about is something called utilitarianism. And I emailed you guys copies of that, and I hand-delivered them here, and I'm going to forward them on to other officials, because this breaches utilitarianism clearly. Utilitarianism is doing the most good for the majority and the least harm to the majority. Well, this is clear cut. What we're talking about is what we would like to see ideally in government is the least harm to the majority, right? And doing good to the majority, doing good. If a decision does no good, then it isn't a good decision. And I believe I don't know which way it'll go. But I pray you read what I sent you. The other issue is noise, and there will be more noise, and noise is a form of air pollution, and I'm not sure how the Environmental Protection Agency fits into that picture, but the EPA does have criteria for noise pollution, and that's why now you see, if you ride along the I-10, where the I-10 borders residential area, you see these high walls. Because it is a public health concern. And even if you're not conscious, you could be asleep. If there's noise in your area, your nervous system is aware of it. And if there's any medical professionals, pharmacists, nurses, physicians, they could easily substantiate what I'm saying right now. And if this is developed commercial, that's what'll happen. There'll be more noise. There'll be commercial vehicles in the area at night to restock these commercial developments. And some of the councilmen before me, they have slow down. We love our children. Safety is companies now. Safety is a chief concern now. Your job, you're tasked with the responsibility of the safety of your citizens, and I pray you make the right decision.
Hi, Mayor, Council, and citizens. I'm Angie Muna. I live at 181 Berkeley Avenue. I'm a little nervous about doing this. I may regret a lot of what I'm going to say today. And as a lifelong resident of Harahan, as well as a business owner, I'm willing to take that chance. I'm probably going to do better just reading some of this. First, I want to start by saying, although I know how I would vote on this issue, I'm not here to campaign for or against in either direction, nor will I voice my opinion for or against. I'm here to bring to light some facts about the property tax issues, which in my opinion seem to have at least a little bit to do with this issue at hand. This has been something that's been near and dear to my heart for a long time. I have a mortgage company. I deal with property taxes daily. It is insulting to see, which is public record, what many of our citizens pay in taxes. Many who are spearheading a campaign against turning this into commercial. When I went to rezone my property on Jefferson Highway, a petition was passed. Neighbors signed it. People who didn't even live around here signed the petition. I took it upon myself because one of the concerns was property taxes. I took it upon myself to check public records of what people were paying in property taxes, who had signed this petition. So for those who think money may be part of this decision, I'm going to give you a website you can check to see just what we're paying in property taxes. Let's take a look at ourselves. The magic number is $134,820. Most of the property in Harahan,
That's the value of the home, Angie?
that's just a magic number we're going to use from there, $134,820. If you take the website is www.jpso.com. On the left side, there's going to be a link that says Revenue and Taxation. And slow me down if you need me to. Under that link, there's a property tax link. Then you go all the way to the bottom of the page, and there's a link that says Pay Your Taxes Online. Pay your property tax online. You click that link, you can complete the information. You can look up by an address. One thing that concerns me here tonight is that, and again, this is public records, one of the spearheaders in this controversy that has divided this city, in my opinion, who lives on Colonial Club Drive, pays annual property taxes to the city of Harahan of a whopping $165.26. $165.26, plus their $63 a year garbage collection and their $15 a year for fire. That's probably less than 1 week of groceries or a couple nights out to dinner. But they're spearheading a campaign against commercialization. Whether you're for it or against it, I want you to ask yourself, is that fair? The house has an assessed value of $105,800. Do you think there is any house on Colonial Club Drive that the owner would sell for $105,800?
Please let her speak.
This is public record. So, folks, I'm a citizen of Harahan my whole life. We have to think clearly on this issue. This is the assessed value. I think, something I do daily, the assessed value should be a little bit closer to your property value. So when we read, get the facts, in my opinion, the only fact here is whether or not we can continue to afford to be an unincorporated city of Harahan. None of us want to pay more taxes. I don't, and I don't think anyone here does. But why don't we start paying fair taxes? If you can't afford the upkeep on your old house, most of us sell it. If we can't afford the upkeep on our old city, what's going to happen? And I ask myself, is that what's happening here by zoning this commercial? Are we selling our city because we can no longer afford it as this wonderful place to live. And if we all look at ourselves, how many people know what their assessed value is? I'm sure not many. We pay our taxes for the most part, and that's it. If we each look at ourselves and we really want to save our city and keep it this beautiful, small, homegrown community that we've all grown up in, my vision for Colonial Country Club was always a cemetery. That way we could live and die here and be here forever. But ladies and gentlemen, we have to be honest with ourselves. This is what, there's many links that you'll see. This is what the front page will look like. I searched these properties, several on Colonial Club, by address. You can use a parcel number if you don't have an address. The assessed value, just so those who may not be familiar with this. For example, if the assessed value shows $10,580, you need to add a zero to the end of that, so it becomes $105,800. We all pay garbage fees. We all pay fire fees. The rest of our taxes that we pay are based on a millage, based on our assessed values. We have many elderly who pass away in our city. When they pass away, that property is sold for fair market value. We have never gained those lost taxes from the difference between the assessed value and the fair market value. The real estate transfers are public record as well, NOLA.com. If you really want to amuse yourself, pull a real estate transfer, then pull the JPSO tax record. Big difference, big difference. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Terry Valenti. I live at 191 Colonial Club Drive. I wanted to just say, we all, I think, got this letter from Mr. Georges in the mail this week, and I kind of assumed that maybe a few people would want to have some comments about that, so I'm not going to go over a lot of it, but I found one paragraph to be pretty interesting, and I'm going to read part of that. It says, Mr. Georges says, a little over 2 years ago, I was approached and offered opportunity to purchase the Colonial Country Club property. It was explained to me that several potential investors had expressed interest in developing condominiums, apartment complexes, and single-family residences. Wayne Ducote and I agreed to purchase the property, which immediately slowed down the process. Please note, Mr. Georges did not say to stop the process. There's a reason for that. He didn't stop the process. This is the process. Rezoning to C1 will not only allow him to build a strip mall, but he also is reserving 5 additional acres to construct multifamily units. And then he will continue the process and develop the rest into single-family homes, which he acknowledges in a later paragraph. And in doing so, he will have accomplished his mission. He will have created an economic engine, all right, but it's for himself and his business partners. It is not for the citizens of Harahan. And finally, in his last paragraph, I don't know, this just ticks me off so bad I have to say it. He signs off again talking about being our neighbor. So, I mean, I know that everybody here clearly understands he's not our neighbor, but it just irritates me so bad when these people come in wanting to develop something that we so strongly oppose, that will affect our families, and call themselves our neighbor. Where is Mr. Georges? These are my neighbors. He has not been here for one meeting. He's not here tonight. And last, I would like to say, I don't know what your intent is to do tonight with tonight's vote. It was in the paper that it was going to be deferred, but I had prepared this, and I would just like to say this. I know you have to consider all the pros and the cons in your decision. So on one side, we have flooding, crime, lighting, noise, dust, traffic, higher flood insurance, increased heat from all the concrete, the slaughter of historic oak trees, decreased property values, harm to existing businesses, townhouses, loss of green space, loss of serenity, and abandoning your citizens. On the other side, you have one entry, tax revenues, estimated by the developers. As Ms. Wheeler profoundly stated in the Planning and Zoning meeting, right is right. Do the right thing.
I have one more comment to make. I think it's an appropriate time. I was asked, since it was public record, to reveal the person that I referred to. Ms. Valenti, I was referring to you.
I'm a little shocked because Angie, we've known her since we've lived in Harahan and have liked her. I do not know what my assessed is. I mean, this is, she asked, do any of you know? I don't know. I don't know how the assessments are done. I will look into it. I mean,
Ms. Valenti,
I'm being
you're not doing
blindsided
anything
by-
wrong. I think the point she's trying to make is if we don't get some sort of income between raising our taxes or some sort of economic engine coming in or something, we may lose our main city.
Right. I understand, but I do think that everybody's pretty much understands
But
that
you're
this
right,
is
we
an
don't control our
embarrassment
assessed value, it just
tactic.
happens.
And I do not know what my assessed value is. I don't know how they arrived. I've lived there for 30 years. I certainly didn't pull any strings to get a lower assessed value. And I know that my property was worth a whole lot more money a few years ago before this happened. Nobody asked me to look into my assessed value. I've really been more looking at the fact that when the Colonial Country Club started getting into trouble, a lot of my neighbors sold and got out, and I made the unfortunate decision to stay and live here. And this is going to destroy my property value. So if Ms. Mina is unhappy with my assessment, then she should probably consider that it's going to be appropriate by the time this thing is built. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Ashley Cambry. I live at 8003 Jefferson Highway. I just want to help Ms. Valenti out a little bit. A while back, a couple of years back, Jefferson Parish was so kind as to, for a lot of elderly, they could apply for exemptions, lock-in property taxes. And that's probably where that comes from, and it continues to stand today. And we have a lot of elderly.
You have to be over 70 for that.
The what?
You got to be over 70 to get the lock.
But for the elderly, they were able to lock in.
70.
That's a fact.
70, right?
65, over 65, yeah.
God.
So,
That's healthy.
well, that's retirement age, but that's probably why some of those are low. We have a lot of elderly in Harahan, and I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
All right.
My name is Matt Wellman. I live at 101 Glenwood Avenue, and please check my property value because I pay a lot of taxes. So my property has been assessed, and I pay a lot. I'm just here because I've heard that it's going to be deferred. I don't know. But I just wanted the council to know that this isn't the first time there has been a vote on changing the zoning of this property. Now, it was zoned R1 for the last 80 years, but I just happened to pick up the lawsuit where the zoning change that happened before was challenged. And I wanted to pass out a copy to each of the council members because they may not have been around in 2004. But the key word is paragraph 10 of this petition. And this petition was successful in setting aside the zoning change. And it said, the ordinance is null and void and unenforceable due to the fact that there was no finding of sufficient public necessity to justify the rezoning. I submit there is no public necessity to justify the rezoning of this property. And that being said, when that ordinance was set aside, not only was it set aside, but the city of Harahan had to pay all the costs of setting it aside, including the attorney's fees and other related costs to do it.
Yeah, well, it had nothing to do with C1 that time.
Yeah, but the point of it is, you set aside an ordinance, you open yourself up for damages as well.
Good evening. Mr. Mayor and council members, Danny Flynn. I live at 251 Halsey Drive. The young man that spoke first, I don't know his name, I apologize. He was referring to something I said at the zoning meeting, and what I talked about was something called a moral object. You know, people say nowadays that Washington doesn't listen to the people anymore. They vote on things, but the people don't get represented. They think they know what they're doing, but they're not listening to their constituents. And I'm afraid that that's beginning to trickle down into our local government. You know, the people of Harahan have spoken 3 times against rezoning this property for commercial. And, well, 2 times, and this is the 3rd time, that we have an outcry from the people who live in this area. Please think clear about what you're about to do. I remind you that several years ago we were up here, and there are some people here that were with us, trying to stop building apartments on Hickory. We warned them of what would happen if we put apartments on Hickory instead of putting commercials, light commercial, in that areas, which would have been done. We were told by the developer at that time it was going to be nice housing for the young people of Harahan so they could get a start in Harahan and stay in their hometown. We warned them that they would be amortized over 10 years, they would be sold to slumlords, and we would have slums over there. Well, they're not total slums, but they're not very good. And a lot of problems we have in Harahan come from that rental property that we have. There's a lot of drug traffic, there's a lot of stealing and all that comes from those residents, and it has caused the city some great grief. So I say it's foresight. We need to have foresight and what the decisions that we make are going to do a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. And I sincerely believe that if you commercialize this area, where colonial is going to be actually the end of Harris as we know it. The reason I say that is because we don't have anything concrete from these developers. They put a pie in the sky proposition out there, but they can't tell us who's going to be part of it. They can't tell us anything except numbers that they have invented and grabbed out of the sky and are telling you. What we can do, though, is we could look at real residential development like the study that we paid for several years ago recommended. If you were to take that property, and my son's an architect and he's done some studies on it already, it would be a home property tax that would happen every year, and people would take care of their property. We would have residents that support our schools and our stores. We would have good residents of Harahan to continue on with what we have now. The pie in the sky offer that they give you is maybe they're going to have a good store, maybe the tenant will stay, and maybe you'll get some sales tax out of the deal.
Deacon, can I ask one question? And I'd like, I know you're an intelligent man. I would like to ask you one question, and it's just for my own benefit. I've heard this argument many times about the sales tax. I mean, the property tax on the homes would bring in a lot more money than the sales tax, and I agree with you. the problem with that is, and maybe you can have an answer for me, is that the money you pay in property tax is directly spent back. It's not like it's new money. It's all regulated by for your garbage pickup, your sewers, your police. I mean, it's not money that we keep to do roads and stuff. It's money that gets spent directly back to you. We depend on sales tax and things like that for our capital projects, for the roads to fix that and take care of the recreation department and things like that. Now, sales tax is new money. I mean, it is money that comes in that we can put into our capital budget to spend on the roads. Now, maybe I'm missing something, but I have heard the argument, and it seems, I mean, it's not like the city makes money on property tax. It's spent directly back to the homeowner. Whatever your garbage collection is.
I don't think all of it gets spent back to the
Well,
owner.
majority of it, yes.
No. Not, I know mine doesn't.
Well, the sewer fees go directly back to you. The garbage collection goes directly back to you. It's budgeted. In fact, the garbage and stuff, it comes about maybe $150,000 capital to make that even. So I'm just asking a question and trying to get the argument straight. I've heard the argument many times.
Well,
and
most
I
city
don't
planners
understand the
say,
argument.
most city planners that say, for a city to be stable, they have to have a good property tax revenue.
Oh, I agree.
Sales tax will not make you a stable city. And that's the least recommended
But
way
it's
of
the
achieving revenue.
spending money that you can do other than ordinary things.
It's all
like garbage
budgeted money.
collection.
It's all
and stuff.
budgeted money.
I understand it's budgeted. I understand the
But
budget part.
it's how you spend it.
But most of it is dedicated to be spent directly back to the citizen on their
Well,
garbage collection.
I can't see a home that's paying $5,000 a year in property taxes.
All right, can we get back on the
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
agenda?
we can talk offline.
Yeah.
The other thing is, you know, if they put some sort of development there, and then the store folds, they'll have a lease agreement where they can get out of it. We will have no revenue. What will they put there? Or if they get the C1 zoning, and they can't get the tenants that they won't divulge to us, do they then go on Plan B and put an apartment complex there? Do they then, because you've rezoned it, they can put anything they want there. The minute you rezone it, they can walk away and do what they want. So if you keep it R1, then you can guarantee what's going to go there. The last comment I wanted to make, I referred to a moral object. What that gentleman was referring to is we've elected y'all to represent us. But you have a moral obligation to do the right thing. What a moral object is it's from philosophy and theology, thousands of years old. And it was just, the question was that philosophers had in ancient times, how do you know what you're doing is morally right? How do you know? And the way they came up with it is if you have an object or an objective that you want to achieve, is it good? Yeah, we need revenue for the city. That's a good thing. We need to do that to support the people of the city. Now, how are we going to achieve that? Now, if the thing you have to do to achieve that object is evil, is bad, harms people, then you can't do it. Because now you're doing, the end does not justify the means. So if you say, we need the revenue, we'll do whatever we can just to get the revenue, but we're going to harm these people, we're going to hurt their property taxes, cause their homes to flood, we're going to ruin their way of life, then the moral object tells you no, you're morally obligated not to do that. And that's how philosophers and theologians have decided on what is morally right or wrong for thousands of years now, and that's what the young man was referring to. So I ask you, please, think long and hard before you make a decision. And I would say stop this process and then start looking at upscale residents, and we could put this city back on the right track. But thank you for your time.
Thank you.
It's on 60, Lawrence.
Hot in here.
My name is Mary Landry. I live at 24 Glenwood Avenue. Yeah, I'm kind of tall. Thank you. There's a lot of talk about all the revenue this property is going to bring, and I'm very curious about that. I'm no financial tycoon. I'm not a billionaire investor who has made multi-millions of dollars like Mr. George's. But I know that a few years ago, when the city annexed property to Harahan, the casino area and the other end of Harahan, that was supposed to solve our financial problems. That was supposed to bring in a lot of money from the annex of this commercial property into Harahan. And evidently, it didn't do the job. It seems like most of that property is vacant today. All the property where the casino is, that whole strip alongside the casino is all vacant. It's been vacant for years. The Winn-Dixie, the old Winn-Dixie in Harahan has been vacant since Winn-Dixie moved to River Ridge. Popeyes pulled out. Someone did a count, and there's 32 pieces of vacant commercial property in Harahan right now as we speak. Why would we want to take the most beautiful area in Harahan, the most prime area, and turn it into another strip mall that's going to wind up vacant? So I had a meeting with Mayor Mosca and asked him how much revenue the city would get. How much revenue does the city get on vacant commercial property? And what he told me was zero. Zero on vacant commercial property. A city that has 32 pieces of vacant commercial property, and you would make another strip of commercial. That is not for the benefit of taxes. That's not to increase our taxes. That's not for the benefit of the citizens. It's for the benefit of the investor, Mr. Georges. And why would our council, who represents our city and the people of Harahan, want to do something like that? Very curious, very curious. It's very sad, too, because along Glenwood and Colonial Club Drive, as we know, as the years have gone by, I've lived in Harahan 40 years now, people want bigger houses, and they're tearing down smaller houses and older houses and putting up new houses. And Glenwood has just amazed me. When we moved on Glenwood, it was all a lot of small homes, and now there's just a rash of. Every year we have 1 or 2 new houses going up in Glenwood, mansions. And most of them are towards the highway that are going to be most affected by this. And it's all a lot of young families, families with children. You know, when you build your first home, especially when you go in for a mansion, and you put everything you have into it. This is what these people do. A couple of Eric Chatelain's classmates have done that. One of them's on Glenwood, one's on Colonial Club Drive. They've built their home for their young families right there, because it was a very country-like street. Very quiet, dead end. That's why we built our house on that street, dead end, quiet street. Now they're talking about putting a commercial development there, a light at the corner, 18-wheelers in and out all day. These families with these young children now, on the other side of the fence where their children are playing, will be commercial and 18-wheelers coming in and out, all kinds of strangers coming in and out. You know, when you have commercial, you're open for crime, you're open for a lot of strangers and activity, and it's just going to, I wouldn't let my child play in the yard with, on the other side of the fence, they've got all of this strangers and commercial activity going on. I'd be afraid to allow my child outside. You know, we've had a very safe neighborhood. It's been a very pleasant neighborhood. It would be really disastrous to turn this area into, and if the commercial would bring in money, if the city really needed this money and it was going to bring in money and there was a potential for it to bring in money, that would be a reason to do it. But there's no potential. We have 32 boarded up properties now. Popeyes couldn't make it in Harahan. Why would we want to add more boarded up properties to Harahan and destroy the neighborhood and the area we have? Harahan is not big enough to support all this commercial. Harahan only extends 2 blocks past the river. Jefferson Highway only extends 2 blocks past the river. There's not enough people in that area to support the commercial. And I guarantee you, if it does happen, it will not be supported by the people of Harahan. I can assure you that'll happen. But I fear for the safety, the quality of life, the character of the neighborhood being changed. The promises we've had in the past about commercial development, bringing in taxes, that never happened. I think we really need to look at that and see, is this really something that we really need for this community, and what are the reasons it's being done? We need our city officials to work for us. Harahan is too small to have the people we elected, who are basically our neighbors, people that we saw grow up or we grew up with, do things that are going to hurt us and our property values, our way of life, our quality of life. We don't need that. We just don't need it.
it's time to put our foot down and say, this is it. We're not going to take this anymore. If we can take this in Harahan, if we could be treated like this in a town this tiny by our neighbors, well, you could imagine what's going to come out of Washington.
All right, Madam Clerk, let's go to approval of minutes.
Reading of the minutes of the council meeting on September 19th.
Motion by Bodier, second by Murray to dispense with reading the minutes. All in favor? Any opposed? 5 yeas, 4 yeas, no nays. 4 yeas, no nays. Motion by Murray, second by Hewitt to approve those minutes. All in favor? Any opposed? 4 yeas, no nays. One absent. Communications, Madam Clerk.
The Board of Adjustments and Appeals did not meet in September. Reading of the minutes of the Planning and Zoning Board on October 2nd.
Motion by Shadlane, second by Hewitt to dispense with the reading of the minutes. All in favor? Any opposed? 4 yeas, no nays, 1 temporary absence. Motion by Hewitt, second by Murray to approve those minutes. All in favor?
Yay.
Any opposed? 4 yeas, no nays, 1 temporary absence. Madam Clerk, resolutions, number 2. We did 1.
The following resolution was offered unanimously by the council. A resolution respectfully requesting assistance from Jefferson Parish Councilman Paul Johnston, District 2, for improvements to Grove Avenue. Whereas the city of Harahan is a city within the parish of Jefferson, and whereas the city of Harahan is requesting $50,000 to asphalt Grove Avenue and improve curbing and drainage. Now therefore be it resolved by the Harahan City Council, acting as the governing authority of said city, that the city of Harahan respectfully requests assistance from Jefferson Parish Councilman Paul Johnston, District 2, for improvements to Grove Avenue. The foregoing resolution having been submitted to a vote, the vote thereon was as follows.
All right, any discussion? Councilman Shadlane, Bodier, Murray, Hewitt. Councilman Johnston's here. Do you care to say anything? Thank you so much. All in favor? Any opposed? 4 yeas, no nays, 1 temporary absence. Next, Madam Clerk.
The
3.
following resolution was offered by Councilman, do we need?
Should be unanimous. Okay, I'm sorry. We have to amend the agenda to go to new business, motion to fill the vacancy of chief. Motion by Murray. Second by Hewitt to fill the vacancy of chief of police.
Change the amendment.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're right. Change the agenda so we go there. All in favor? Any opposed? 4 yeas, no nays, still 1 temporary absence. We have a motion by Murray. Go ahead.
Motion by Murray to accept the,
Let me, a caveat.
Yeah.
One name was withdrawn. That was, let me submit the fact that Darlene Schwartz, who indicated a willingness to fill this position, withdrew in order to apparently run for it in April.
would be the best way. Appoint
Interim
to
chief of police.
interim chief of police until such election shall be made on April 5th to elect a new police chief for the city of Harahan. I would like to propose that we submit and support Mr. Joseph Lorenzo.
All right, discussion. Is there a
Second.
second? Second by Hewitt. Any discussion, Councilman Hewitt?
No discussion.
Councilman Murray?
No discussion.
So read
Councilman Bodier?
proclamation.
discussion.
And Councilman Shadley, Councilman Landry, I don't believe he has any discussion either. All those in favor?
Yeah.
Any opposed? 4 yeas, no nays, 1 temporary absence. All right, let's call Mr. Lorenzo up.
Do I just read it?
Mayor.
Proclamation?
Mayor.
A resolution, I'm just gonna say.
Follows next is a ceremony. Okay. Congratulations. Can I have a pen? All right, at this point, I'm going to administer the oath of office to Mr. Lorenzo. Thank you. Put your hand on the Bible, raise your right hand. I, it's Joseph Lorenzo, do solemnly swear
I, Joseph Lorenzo, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
and laws of the United States
and laws of the United States
and the Constitution and laws of this state
and the Constitution and laws of this state
and of the city of Harahan,
and of the city of Harahan,
that I will faithfully and impartially discharge
and I will faithfully and impartially discharge
and perform all duties incumbent upon me
and perform all duties incumbent upon me
as Chief of Police for the city of Harahan,
as Chief of Police for the city of Harahan,
according to the best of my ability and understanding,
according to the best of my ability and understanding,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations. Say a few words. And I noticed that he got a haircut for this. Thank you for that.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, my fellow Harahanians, my brothers and sisters in blue, I just want to say I am honored to be the interim chief of police here in Harahan. I worked in New Orleans for a long time, retired. My wife told me I couldn't just retire. I had to go out and actually continue to work. So I'm here in Harahan, and I'm going to tell you I've really, really enjoyed the time that I've been here. I want to let you know that my door will always be open to any citizens, members of the council. We're a very, very good police department. We're small, but we're very, very good. We have some very, very dedicated men and women who work there. And like I said, we want to be open and transparent and work with the community. So any problems or any concerns you have, please feel free. My door is always open. Thank you. Say again?
See you tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Bob? Sure.
I'd like to thank all of those people who came forward and submitted their names and their resumes for Chief of Police and the interim to help us out. All of those people are very dedicated individuals, residents of the city of Harahan, and we certainly do appreciate everything that they've done, and we hope that although they were not selected tonight, that they will continue to support the city and be good Samaritans, good citizens of us, and continue on to do their work that they are doing in this city. Ms. Schwartz rescinded her name today. She is a very dedicated young woman. She is a very smart lady, and we thank her very much for putting in her name, along with the other residents who did so. So thank you very much. Good luck to you, Chief, and we appreciate everything that you're about to do for us, whether you know it or not. Thank you.
Mayor, I need my pen back.
Now we go to the resolution.
You don't need this?
I'm sorry?
But now-
Where did Chief go?
Chief Lorenzo, you are the chief now. You belong in the seat, sir. Mr. Butch Adams, we thank you so much for your time and your dedication to help us out during that time, but I think you've been replaced. Thank you.
Give that to, all right, Madam Clerk, let's go to the resolution to order the special primary election.
All right, a proclamation, let's say a resolution of the City of Harahan, Louisiana, ordering a special primary election to be held on April 5th, 2014, and a special general election to be set for May 3rd, 2014. Whereas the mayor and the city council of the City of Harahan has received official notification from the Louisiana Secretary of State the resignation of Jacob Mack Dickinson, Chief of Police of the City of Harahan, Louisiana, effective Sunday, October 6, 2013. And whereas RS 18602, the governing authority shall within 20 days call a special election and make an appointment to fill the unexpired term. Now therefore be it resolved by the Harahan City Council, acting as governing authority of said city, that we, the Harahan City Council, at a council meeting on October 17, 2013, appointed Joseph Lorenzo to fill the position of interim chief of police until a special election can be held. Be it further resolved that a special election shall be called and held with a special primary election date set for April 5th, 2014, to elect a chief of police with a special general election date set for May 3rd, 2014. Qualifying period will begin February 12th, 2014, and continue through February 14th. The deadline being for this vacancy to be placed on the upcoming ballot is January 15th. The foregoing resolution having been submitted to a vote, the vote thereon was as follows.
Any discussion?
No discussion.
All in favor?
Yay.
Any opposed? 5 yeas, no nays. Madam Clerk, you need to put in the name now, also. All right.
Yes, sir.
Madam Clerk? Ordinances for approval, public hearings.
Alrighty. The following ordinance was introduced by Councilman Bodier and seconded by Councilman, who would like to second? Chatelain. An ordinance approving the re-subdivision of 50 Berkeley Avenue, lots 37 and half of 38, Square F, Riverside Park Subdivision, City of Harahan, Parish of Jefferson, State of Louisiana, made by Gilbert Kelly and Couture, Incorporated, dated February 26, 2013. Whereas Colin Hosley, the owner of Lot 37 and half of 38, Square F, Riverside Park Subdivision, City of Harahan, Parish of Jefferson, State of Louisiana, having petitioned this governing body to re-subdivide these lots into Lot 37A, as shown on the plan of Gilbert Kelly and Couture, Incorporated, dated February 26, 2013. And whereas the Planning and Zoning Commission of the City of Harahan deferred said plan of re-subdivision as indicated thereon. Now therefore be it ordained by the mayor and city council of the City of Harahan that the plan of the re-subdivision of lots 37 and half of 38, Square F, Riverside Park Subdivision, made by Gilbert Kelly and Couture, Incorporated, dated February 26, re-subdividing lots 37 and half of lots 38 into Lot 37A, Square F, Riverside Park Subdivision, City of Harahan, Parish of Jefferson, State of Louisiana, and the same is hereby approved. The mayor of the City of Harahan is authorized and empowered to affix his signature to the said plan of re-subdivision and to execute any and all documents necessary to fully implement this ordinance. The severability and repeal clause is referenced in ordinance number 1566 is incorporated into this ordinance. This ordinance having been considered section by section and as a whole, a vote was taken and the vote was as follows.
All right, although Planning and Zoning deferred this matter, state statute mandates that we have a public hearing today and also that the council vote on it. So motion by Bodier, second by Chatelain to open up for a public hearing. All in favor? Yes. Any opposed? 5 yeas, no nays. Anyone wishing to address this ordinance, please step forward. Motion by Hewitt, second by Murray to close the public hearing. All in favor?
Yay.
Any opposed? 5 yeas, no nays. Discussion. Hewitt?
No discussion.
Murray?
No discussion.
Bodier?
I'll be glad to give this guy his resub.
No discussion.
Landry?
No discussion.
And Chatelain?
No discussion.
All in favor?
Yay.
Any opposed? 5 yeas, no nays. The ordinance passes. Next, Madam Clerk.
The following ordinance was introduced by Councilman Bodier and seconded by Councilman.
There's a motion by Bodier to defer this, second by Chatelain.
Gotta get a second.
I'll second it.
All right,
Chatelain.
second by Chatelain. Now we have a motion by Bodier to defer, second by Chatelain. Any discussion?
No discussion.
All in favor?
Yay.
Any opposed? 5 yeas, no nays.
Do we have to open it up for,
Now if we defer it. Next, Madam Clerk.
The following ordinance was introduced by Councilman Bodier and seconded by Councilman Chatelain.
Motion to defer by Bodier, second by Chatelain. All in favor? Any discussion, Councilman Hewitt? Murray?
Yes, just very quick. I'm just curious to know, all of those who are in favor of this subdivision, if you're here, would you stand, please?
Oh, come on.
All of those favor of it? Okay. I'm sorry, we're voting right now, or we're voting
we're not
to-
voting.
We're not voting, we just voted to defer the colonial issue.
No.
Re-subdivision
I-
of the zone.
oh, I
We
wasn't-
have a motion by,
That we please don't do this?
we have a motion by Bodier, second by Landry to dispense with stand-up vote.
Please.
I'm asking, I can't do a straw vote. Okay, I'm sorry, I can't do a straw vote.
Because I do believe it might be illegal, so.
Okay, I can't do a straw vote, but thank you all very much, I appreciate it. Thank you all very much for coming then.
Would you like us not to defer it?
We have addressed the council after this is over. You're welcome to do so. Unfortunately, when there's a motion to defer, they get to defer it. Now, we can't have what's called a straw vote because
Right,
that
correct.
taints the proceeding, and you don't want to,
Right.
whatever side's in favor and not favor, you don't want to cause a confusion because we did something wrong.
Understandable.
It's illegal.
I
But you're
apologize.
welcome to, we're going to address the council again shortly, so I would advise you to come on up in a few minutes. No. All those in favor?
Yay.
Yay.
Any opposed? 5 yeas, no nays.
Just real quick, Mayor, I'd like to say one thing. All of our councilmen, we all agreed together that we'd like to defer because we are working very hard to come up with the most educated answer that we possibly can come up with, and use our moral object, I'll take those words from Mr. Danny Flynn, to make the best decision that we possibly can here. We all want to do what's best for Harahan. You know, we're getting tons and tons of calls. We're actually keeping track of who's voting yay and who's voting nay. But we really want to work hard. We want to make the right decision. We want to move Harahan in the right direction, whether it be commercial or whether it be residential. I just want to let everybody know that we're all, as a council, working together, probably more than I've worked together with any council, just trying to come up with a good, educated decision. And just want to let you know that's why we're deferring, because this is so overwhelming amount of information that we're trying to learn as best we can, as quick as we can. Thank you.
Thank you.
You can address the council
You can
at the
address the
end of the
council
meeting.
when it's coming up in just a couple of minutes.
It's not
So,
coming
in
up
a couple
yet.
of minutes.
All right, next we have ordinances for introduction. Madam Clerk?
The following ordinance was introduced by Councilman
That was mine.
Landry. An ordinance to amend ordinance number 961, ordinance number 1176, ordinance number 1299, ordinance number 1306, ordinance number
May I
1420.
quiet, please, so we can get it on
Ordinance
tape?
number 1431, and ordinance number 1676 to establish fees to be charged for all functions in the city of Harahan for which police details are required.
All right, Madam Clerk, old business. We do have one issue on old business. I don't know how the council wants to handle this, but I know there was a request to hire an attorney in connection with an opinion regarding some issues, and in order to get past any type of impasse, I agreed to allow the council, if they so desire, to hire somebody for not more than $25,000. I would just ask if there's any way we could defer payment till December if we can.
Or January.
Sorry?
December or January?
End of December. So I would leave it up, to Councilman Hewitt, Murray, who were kind of spearheading this, just to get back to me and let me know, unless you all have a better idea.
Mayor,
how you-
Mayor, just give me a point of order. Don't we need to add this?
I'm sorry?
We need to add this?
It wasn't, no.
It's under
It's
old
under-
business.
it's under new
We
business,
need-
old business.
Yeah, but
We
we
didn't have
don't,
anything
we need to add it.
All right, motion to add this under old business, all in favor?
Yay.
Any opposed? 5 yeas, no nays. Thank you. So, you just want to discuss it amongst yourselves and get back to me with the person, and
Yeah, Mayor, I appreciate you this week coming to the decision of allowing the council to seek a special attorney to help us and guide us through the rezoning and re-subdivision of the property formerly known as Colonial Golf and Country Club. I had called a special meeting back in August, and it was specifically for that reason, and the mayor didn't agree with it, and we weren't able to move forward. So now it's October, and we've moved a lot now in the plan. We've already had first reading. This was the second time this evening, our second meeting where we've deferred. So we have to come together as a council and decide if this is still something we need to do, because it was certainly something that I was very interested in having 2 months ago so we could be proactive and be prepared as we met with the developers and met with the owners and trying to vet through all the information. Like I showed you at the last meeting, I hold up the studies that were 1 inch and 2 inches thick. We asked our city planner to put a case study together and a written recommendation, which he has delivered to us. We got it yesterday.
Thank you, Steve.
Yesterday evening. It's 15 pages, and so we're all working through this. We're studying it. We're looking at it. I'm sure going to have separate meetings with Mr. Villavasso so we can ask questions and try and educate ourselves. So if it's something, Mayor, that we all believe as a council that we still need,
Sure.
we'll let you know.
Yeah, it's my appreciation. Unfortunately, Jefferson Parish was not able to accommodate our request, and I took that into consideration, and hopefully it'll work out for you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
How about new business, Madam Clerk?
We did
Number
number
3.
one. Yeah, no, we didn't do number 2. Permission to sell alcohol at the Harahan Jambalaya
that
Co-op.
earlier. We did that, yes.
Not about
Oh, we
selling
didn't do 3 yet.
alcohol.
Oh, we didn't do the permit?
No, not about alcohol.
Motion.
Yes. Which one?
The jambalaya
Sell
cook-off.
alcohol,
All right,
jambalaya.
motion by Landry, second by Bodier for the alcohol for the jambalaya. All in favor?
Yes.
Any opposed? 5 yeas, no nays. Madam Clerk?
Harahan Elementary Annual Mardi Gras Ball at Harahan Gym, Saturday, February 8th or 15th, from 7 p.m. until 10 p.m. Principal Viola, she requests the council to consider either a donation or a substantial discounted price of this venue.
Anybody have a problem with that?
Motion.
Motion by Murray, second by Bodier. All in favor?
Yay.
Any
Yay.
opposed? 5 yeas, no nays. I'm going to do the discounted price.
Discount double check.
No.
So we can charge $1? Okay.
We have to
Madam Clerk? Oh, budget hearing. When's the next budget hearing?
The
November.
4th. November 4th, 7 p.m.
Oh,
Maybe I'm wrong. I think that's what I got
Monday.
down.
I think it's the 4th.
November 4th. Okay, do you want to set the other budget hearing date now? For the other, we're having fire and police on the 4th. All the other departments, what day you want?
Fire and police on the 4th?
Right.
Let me check. I got this. Let me just finish this. What time is that for? What time is that for?
Whatever you want.
That's for 7 p.m.
7 p.m.
All right, the 11th,
That's what I thought we discussed last meeting.
we just have to set it. At 7 o'clock?
11's good for me.
11,
7
11,
o'clock?
7 o'clock.
The 11th.
What day is that?
It's
That's a Monday.
Yeah,
Both of them are Mondays.
right.
Yes, not a problem for me either.
Same time.
7 o'clock on the 4th, 7 o'clock on the 11th.
Sounds
Madam
good.
Clerk? Increase in traffic ticket fines.
I don't.
Did somebody bring that up?
I don't remember. I remember somebody mentioning something, but I don't remember if we got into particulars about it.
Miss Cindy?
Chief
Well,
Lorenzo,
let's
you
wait
know
till
anything
the
about
new
that?
chief has a chance to look.
Chief?
How about if we wait till the new chief has a chance to look at everything and bring it back? Because I don't remember who asked for it.
Chief Lorenzo. He was talking.
He forgot his name.
We're going to ask you to look at the fine schedule and make a recommendation. All right, you know who it was? Chief Dickerson.
Okay.
Look at the fine schedule and see if you want to change it.
Any recommendation
Recommend,
to increase?
okay? Okay.
The former chief had asked that the last meeting.
All right, next, address the council. Anyone wishing to address the council is welcome to do so. Councilman Johnson, you want to address the council?
I think this gentleman does.
Thank you.
Thank you.
this may seem simplistic, that there's this matter going back and forth.
You have to say your name.
You have to say your name and address.
Name and
My name is Gary Kular. I live at 37 Sedgefield. I've been a resident, I guess, 5 years now. There's this matter going back and forth as to whether it's good for Harahan or bad for Harahan to take this huge parcel of property and rezone it. And you, council, represent the people in Harahan, and you're trying to make a decision. I see that there are petitions for impeaching people because we're not quite sure how you're going to make the decision. Is it too simplistic to ask that this be put on a ballot and let the people of Harahan vote whether we want this to be done or not? When you have elections coming up for police chiefs, and I understand these things. You have to do things for us like buy a new fire truck, or you have somebody that wants to rezone a small piece of property. You don't need our input for that. But with something as large as this, why would you not put that on a ballot where everybody in Harahan has a chance to say yes or no?
I beg your pardon, let me answer that if I can. I'm in favor of that. The problem is, this is a duty that is the subject matter of government, unfortunately. The best way I can explain it, the next person that comes up and he wants to rezone his property, I want an election. The next person that comes up, I mean, the law doesn't provide a mechanism. Am I right, Mr. City Attorney?
That's the truth.
The law is that you can't zone by ballot. You can't zone by ballot. There's a Supreme Court case that talks about it, and I understand it. You know, we've talked
I would
about
love
it,
that.
but we can't do it, cannot do it.
You can't do one for
You have an excellent idea. We got to change the law to get that done then.
So the alternative is to hope that you people vote the way the majority of the people want you to vote, or
Absolutely.
you all get impeached.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Right.
Mary Landry, 24 Glenwood Avenue. I'd just like to say that I'm very disappointed that this council chose to defer this and not vote it out today, oppose it today. And the reason is, some years back when we were having problems and Mayor Moscow was mayor at that time, and he had Mr. Villavasco do a big book about this thick about how cities should be run, the laws and everything, you know. And I was involved at that time, and I got to read it. And one of the things I read in it was that one of the main consideration when a property is being considered for a rezoning, especially a spot rezoning, you have to look at the people immediately affected. The people the closest to that will be most impacted by this should have the heaviest say-so. That's what the book said. Am I correct, Mr. Villavasco? Yeah, he says that's correct. That's the way I remember it anyway. So it's a slam dunk. The people who are immediately impacted, don't want it.
Could you explain that law? Because I think that's being taken.
Well, you all need to read it. Mr.
I've read it. I think they're taking it parcel.
I mean, to have this job, you should have to read it.
All right,
Of course we read this law.
let's
I mean, if you don't know.
let's get back on track.
You know the law. You know.
So it shouldn't, if you know the law, it shouldn't be such a big issue, and we shouldn't have to be, the citizens of Harahan shouldn't have to be badgered into all of these meetings and all of these petitions and all of this aggravation, you know. Harahan is small, you know. You guys should be working for us, for the community, for the kind of community we want to maintain.
We do. We do.
Excuse me.
Well, I'm
Can I
hoping
speak,
so.
Mayor?
Please.
They had a letter that went out, urgent. This wasn't passed out in just your neighborhood. I believe they have my phone number and Councilman Landry's phone number on this letter right here. It wasn't passed out just in your neighborhood. This letter right here has my phone number, Councilman Landry's phone number on it. I'm going to sit here and say the last 2 days I got more phone calls in favor of this project than against it.
I'd like to reiterate.
But look, let me.
Let me tell you about this.
All right, let's one
I didn't pass it out.
one at a time.
I'm at the mic, and I'd just like to say this. This thing that he just showed you was typed up Monday of this week.
I don't know.
And it went out in my neighborhood, 2 streets, Glenwood and Berkeley, period.
This went out at the playground 3 nights in a row. I'm at the playground every night. This
Oh,
went
well, I
out
guess
3
somebody
nights
went
in
and
a
put
row.
someone, but we just put this together. This just got put together. I didn't put it together.
2 phone numbers.
Monday
Yeah.
night.
3 other
This
council
got
members
put
up there.
together Monday night. So this was being dispersed to people like this week. Like, what's today, Thursday, Tuesday, and Wednesday?
I appreciate the phone number on there. I appreciate the phone calls. I'm just letting you know. I'm willing to listen to everyone. The phone number's on there. Y'all put it out. The people called.
As I said,
I'm
the
taking
law...
a tally.
Well, I would like to see Mr. Chatelain read what the law says.
We certainly read it. You take one
Because-
sentence out of
All right, let's
context.
let Ms. Landry.
But let me,
Because the people immediately impacted should have the strongest voice.
All right, thank you.
And then, when you look to the rest of Harahan, Harahan is pie-shaped. You're talking about doing this atrocity in the wide part of Harahan, the rest of Harahan is like away from that area. And that's why commercial businesses fail on Jefferson Highway, because people in Harahan don't come back to Jefferson Highway to shop. They go towards Elmwood, they go towards Airline. They're closer to those shopping areas than they are to Harahan. I mean, to Jefferson Highway. That's why they fail. Now, another thing, when they had this big thing going on with this big study, I don't know how much it cost, but I was told, what, 50,000, 100,000? What did that study cost?
Did we get a grant?
It was a UNO study, and you got a grant.
Well, it doesn't cost the city anything.
Oh, it didn't cost the city anything, but it cost a lot of money. Like somebody paid what, how much? 50,000, 100,000? Yeah, to have this study done. And it's an official document, it's a big study, and it's really very good. And there were meetings held all over Harahan. The city was divided up into sections, and they met with citizens all over Harahan. This was when Mr. Chatelain was probably still in college. And he probably didn't go to any of these meetings, but I went to a lot of these meetings. They were well attended. And what did the citizens say at these meetings? I'm sure we have notes. Mr. Villaverso could tell you. The citizens said what they liked about Harahan was it's a bedroom community, a residential community, and they want to keep it that way. It's country-like, it's green, it's safe, and we want to keep it like that. We don't want to introduce a lot of stuff right into neighborhoods where people have put their life savings and have their homes. Introduce things into neighborhoods like that are going to cause crime and lower the quality of life, increase flooding. And I'd like to add one other thing. Nobody said anything about flooding.
Nobody said anything about
Mr. Richardson said something about the pump to the river that's being worked on Salve. It's my understanding that pump to the river does nothing for the people on the side of Jefferson Highway, on the river side of Jefferson Highway. Nothing, because that water has got to get across Jefferson Highway to the pumping station before it can be pumped to the river. So anybody who lives on the river side of Jefferson Highway will not be helped by pump to the river. Oh yeah, that's okay, but I just want to make sure people understood that. You know, you think, oh, pump to the river, that's going to save the people who live on the barricaded the side of the highway where the highway is so high that the water can't get across.
it'll bring relief to everyone. I mean, anytime you take...
No,
someone
it's
out
not
of the
going to
system,
bring
it's gonna
water to
relief.
relief to
I
the
don't wanna-
people on the
But let me just tell you something about
riverside.
what you made the comment before. Real quick, Mayor. I have not told anybody where I'm at on this project. Nobody. They don't know if I'm for it or against it. But as far as listening to the people surrounding the area, I certainly have. I spoke to many, many people. But as elected officials, I don't think we have the luxury to draw a line in the sand and say, we are against this no matter what. There are people that live on Ash Lawn and 6th Street and Kenmore that may need the extra revenue and enjoy getting their streets fixed. That's one way to look at it. But for
Yeah, where are you gonna get the money to
I'll
fix
let you
these
speak.
streets?
I'll let you speak. Now, I've said, well, if this project goes through and if it brings in a certain
If
amount of money.
we
I'll
have
let you speak, Ms. Landry.
50
Please.
pieces
Ms.
of
Landry, I'll let you speak for 10 minutes. Just let me
vacant
answer one of your
commercial.
questions, please. Let me answer one of your questions. So when we are elected at large. We represent all of Harahan. So it is my job, especially when a business comes into Harahan, spends a very large amount of money doing studies and getting surveys and doing everything. It is my job to look at that project for all of Harahan and to give it my undivided attention, which I have, and study everything from backwards to forward. You see, you don't understand a deferral. We've got a bunch of studies that we owe Mr. Georges
the respect to study and then looking at it. I don't know when being rich has become such a bad thing. So the man has plenty of money. So be it.
That's wonderful.
He has plenty of money.
That's wonderful. We're happy for him.
Understand? But it is our job to look at this in a non-biased way. We have people around here. I live on Colonial. I'm as affected as anybody else. But I haven't said where I'm at on this at all. But it is my job to look at all areas of it. And that's what I plan on doing. I can't do that in 30 days with the studies we've gotten. I will meet with Mr. Villasso one-on-one. I will meet with Rick Myers, engineer, one-on-one. And he will explain everything to me. But that's my job to do.
Yeah, right, that's good.
That's
And
what
I
I'd
hope,
like to do.
and I hope as a part of your study, when you're trying to make your decision, you drive up and down Jefferson Highway and all the
Ma'am,
annex
I'm 49 years old. I was born and raised here.
count the number of vacant commercial properties in Harahan right
I will
now.
understand that. I will.
To see if we need more
Answer for that.
commercial property.
There's a lot of commercial property, but
Thank you,
there's a
ma'am.
lot of B and C property.
All right.
Thank you.
Mr. Galveston, can you address the council? Sure. All right.
I'll answer questions for you.
What about can you tell the council about your study?
Well, the study that's been referred to most recently
We just
is...
got it today or yesterday, right?
The study that has been most recently referred to is actually the first master plan that the city did under a grant the city received from the state, done by students at the University of New Orleans. And I was part of that project because I was a research associate
What
at
we
UNO at the time.
a finalist within the whole United States?
No, we won the award, actually. You and I went to a national conference and won an award for a small-town master plan, and we were recognized nationally for that study. But now that I have the mic, I want to remind everybody that in 2010, we as a city updated that master plan, and in December of 2010, we have adopted a new master plan that deals with all the issues that have been brought about today. And I don't want people to forget about that, because this is the adopted master plan of the city of Harahan, where we had numerous meetings and, lots of discussions about it, and that was December 2010. So both studies are important, but both studies need to be looked at in context.
Couple of questions, if I may, please.
Sure.
A through or?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
my answer.
Okay.
Are we going to go over this recommendation?
Yeah.
Can we do that while he's up? I asked the mayor if it's all right if
Yes.
I ask you a few questions.
Sure.
The master plan that we started, that was way back in, what was the year we started and did the master plan?
The
original
first one?
Yes.
02 maybe?
02.
We might have
Of
finished
which
in
I was a part of, and we did countless meetings, correct?
Correct.
Right. And I have been with that master plan all this time. I was a part of that when I was on the Planning and Zoning Board, and that was part of what we were doing. I believe so, yes. If not, came into it when it was already started. If I don't remember exactly what year I came on the Planning and Zoning Board. And what was it? 02. We did come in 02. Both Mr. Landry and I both served on the Planning and Zone Board together for a time.
Yes. I remember.
And we were on that, yes. And we also did 1333 together. We've spent countless hours together. I just received this along with everybody else, I believe, yesterday afternoon. One of the reasons why I am deferring is because I have a lot of questions in here to ask.
Certainly.
And I'm sure the rest of this council does too. That is why I went to just defer this. Understand, I still have questions to ask, especially since I just received this yesterday, and we had asked Mr. Villavasso to please do a case study. Councilwoman Hewitt asked for it, and we also agreed. And so therefore, we have just received that yesterday. I want to review it. I want to ask questions. I have a few little small, one was just to ask the date, and then there's some issues in here. I'm going to refer to Councilman Hewitt, who wants to ask a few questions, and I may come back to you if that's okay.
Sure.
Councilman Hewitt.
Mr. Villavasso, do you have it in front of you?
I do, yes.
On page 3, and this is just for my education, in the paragraph for drainage, and it says, however, the 1995 flood insurance map placed part of Colonial Country Club in the AE Special Flood Hazard Area. Can you just explain that to me? And then just one more part of the question or comment. The last 2 sentences of that paragraph, the authors of the drainage impact analysis, is that JW Properties, the one they gave us? Is that what you're talking about there?
Yes, yes.
Disagree with the updating of the flood maps, removing the site from the AE flood zone. Can you just explain that to me?
Well, what the important part of this is actually the last sentence. The last sentence, which is this issue needs to be addressed in the final phase of subdivision approval process. We're not engineers. We're not drainage engineers. You have a competent drainage engineer on retainer to the city, Meyer Engineers, who is supporting this project. And a planning case study like this brings in and coordinates information for you. So what we have done here in this case study is bring together what we think is a palette of information to help you make the decision. We're not going to step into the shoes of Meyer, and we're not going to step into the shoes of the subdivision approval process, which sets out how to resolve this issue as you move into the final phase of subdivision approval, assuming you get to that point. So I understand that the subdivision approval has been recommended for denial by the Planning and Zoning Board, but the way Chapter 85 is laid out at this point. And
86.
86. I always get the wrong number. That's why I had to issue the addendum. Right, Jeff? The way 86 is laid out, it is a step-by-step process, and we updated that a few years ago, and we have, I think, one of the best subdivision codes in the parish today, because it gives a developer or a property owner a clear roadmap to coordinate with the city, with the regulatory department, with the city engineer, with the city planner, with the traffic experts that the city might turn to look at their traffic study, to solve those problems during the subdivision approval process. Now remember, that's separate from the zoning process. So we're not going to step into the shoes of the engineer here, but this is our analysis of that packet to date. And our recommendation is that last sentence, that this issue needs to be addressed. And we would go so far as to put this issue will be addressed, but we understand that the decision on subdivision approval has not been made. So we didn't go so far as to say will be. We pulled back and said needs to be.
Mr. Villavasso, when we received this application from the proposed developer, we had it together as one, or we had it as two separate applications?
Well, you know, this is sort of a conundrum, because you can't rezone a lot of record that doesn't exist. So you can't ask for a rezoning request on a piece of property that doesn't legally exist. So you have to create the lot first, okay? And so it's sort of a chicken and egg thing when you create the lot and then ask for the rezoning, but you don't want to grant the rezoning. You don't want to grant the rezoning if the lot doesn't exist. So if you deny the rezoning on a lot that you created, you may not have wanted to create the lot. So what most communities do is they combine the two together, and it has to be treated as two votes for you and two different actions for the Planning Commission, because each action has different standards, different timelines, and so even though they're separate with separate standards, they're intimately intertwined. You really can't have one without the other. So the order is a matter of convenience, but it really is one matter with two separate functions that have to be combined.
Okay. So the subdivision would have to come first, correct?
Basically, it seems
as
logical that
logical,
we
'cause
should
if not,
create
then
the
you have
lot
no
first
Okay.
and then rezone it, because you can't vote on the zoning for a lot that doesn't exist.
Correct. Let me ask you a couple other questions too about that. Chapter 86 deals, like we've discussed, is the subdivision law, subdivision ordinance, right?
Yes.
Okay. So in that ordinance, it has a couple of stipulations of things that are exempt. One of them being if we take property for to make a lane change or something like that. The other is if it's under 5 acres, and I believe it doesn't have a street, correct?
Right.
Okay, and then There is one other one that doesn't affect any of this, and I can't remember it off the top of my head. Because this is over 5 acres, it has to deal and go with the subdivision ordinance, which is 86. And then the rezoning goes back to 1333, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So it asked for the re-subdivision. Part of our 86 is part of our chapter 86 has an absolute process by which it should go. And you've read that, I'm sure.
Right.
And you probably reread it.
And we coordinate with Mr. Charlet
Okay.
on that, obviously, in the
Right.
regulatory department.
Okay. The next question is that the subdivider and developer had to do certain things, the responsibilities, the planning and the zoning commission had to, and when you refer to the planning commission, you mean the planning and zoning commission?
I do, yeah,
Right.
I shortened it, I apologize.
Sure, absolutely, that's fine. And then the engineer has something to do, the council has something to do. We also have a process in there by which we have to go by that it states what each one has to do. The subdivision process, which is 86.9, subdivision procedure. It calls for a plat plan. And I'm just curious, I don't know what a plat plan is. Did they submit a plat plan?
That's a survey, and they did submit
It is a
plat
survey.
plan. Yeah.
Just a survey is called a plat plan?
Well, it's a survey that shows the existing lots, and it shows the new lots that they want to create. It's a typical document that, for instance, the re-subdivision that you approved earlier tonight, that gentleman had to submit the existing lots, and then what the new lots would
Okay.
look like, the plat plan.
And it also, that submission of a preliminary plat, which is what this is?
Yes.
Okay. Did they submit a sewer system impact? I don't think so. I haven't gotten that yet. Have you?
Would you need that for?
Yes, you do.
For commercial too?
I'm going to defer to Mr. Charlotte.
Regardless of whether it's a commercial, it doesn't specify whether it's commercial or residential. It calls for several things. Section 86.10 has submission of the preliminary plot, and it has 7 things that it has to have with it. And if I'm not mistaken, I think we need to go back and look at 86 and make sure that we have dotted our i's and crosses our t's, that all of those things have been submitted. And to my recollection at this point, I don't know that it has. And I don't want to put you on the spot, Mr. Charlet, but I think that's something we need to reread and take note of. I was reading it the other day for about the 3rd time, and it hit me.
Well,
So-
I don't know what the developers plan to do about sewage, but I can tell you this, the city's going to mandate and dictate
Right.
what is necessary for sewage.
Absolutely, and we need
And
to
that's
do
laid
that.
out
Well, it
in
might be a new
Chapter
sewer
86
plan,
also.
it could be a lift station.
Right.
But our engineers are going to tell them, even if it's homes, our engineers are going to say, you want to put 2 homes there? This is what you got to do for sewage.
And I might remind the council that for
Yes,
the
you
mayor.
supported-
I sure did.
Councilman Murray
I supported it for
supported-
him, but we didn't
but
get
we didn't get
anything
the
else to
vote.
do. But we didn't get
That's
it
right.
a second.
We had,
Every house.
That's not what we said.
that's right.
That's not what we said. Y'all know that. So anyway, we had that. I might bring it up again because I think that it is quite evident that we need to do something, hearing more information about the sewer plant that we're having some serious issues with.
I think we need
So-
to follow up, get Mr. Meyer involved in those discussions,
Right.
and then get back to you on
Right.
that.
I also put forth a buffer zone that no one seconded either, and we still have this problem. Just another couple of questions.
It was a good
Thank
idea.
you. You're welcome. It was a good idea. It was a good idea. At least I thought it was. Maybe I'm the lone person in that. Mayor thought it was.
Correct.
I supported him with, I did not get a second on that. It's the first time that I've ever not gotten a second. So a couple of other things too. The comprehensive plan states several things about it. You listed them. Thank you for doing that. I'll go back and relook at that. That's all I have at the moment, but there was a couple of other things that I wanted to ask. And at this point, I'll do it at a different area.
Sure, I'm available anytime.
Sure, absolutely.
And I will do the same, that I'll meet with you separately since I do have a bunch of things tagged here that I've read through and just have some questions. But basically, I mean, the gist of this, I think the last 2 pages basically sums it up where it's number 7 is the recommendation. And it says the proposed development site satisfies the requirements of the City of Harahan subdivision regulations, which I believe that's 86 that y'all are talking about. And the proposed development site satisfies the policies and standards in the City of Harahan Comprehensive Master Plan adopted December 16th, 2010. The current application to amend the official zoning map of the City of Harahan from R1 to C1 satisfies the application requirements and standards for a zoning map change in the City of Harahan according to the City of Harahan Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance. So, and then you list some bullets there about some technical recommendations. Am I to take this as, after you reviewing the application for resub, rezone, looking at the drainage study, looking at the traffic study, reviewing the economic study, your written recommendation is it meets and satisfies everything from the City of Harahan standpoint?
It meets and satisfies the standards of the City of Harahan. You still have the obvious responsibility and option to decide to protect the health, safety, welfare, and economic development of the community. That is the linchpin that leads us to this decision point tonight, okay? And so, and the study gives you parameters and information to inform that decision.
Thank you.
I never did. Well, your objective was not to
Councilman
give
Landry?
us, I'm sorry. Your objective was never to give us your opinion on whether it should be done or not, right?
That's not the
objective
city
was to give us
planners.
give us the, if it's following all the rules, correct?
Right. Clearly, the elected officials of the community are the ones vested with the authority to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the community. And what I want to do as your city planner is to give you the best information to let you make the best decision to do that.
Just one quick question. It's something like this. This is the drainage impact analysis done by the JW Group. Now, off the top of your head, what does something like this run, monetarily wise?
$25,000, $30,000.
$30,000. Now, when this fella here, Tommy Budwell?
I don't know. I can't see it. I take your word
He
for
puts
it.
his official engineering stamp on that.
That's right.
So that is binding by law, right? There is no way he can be swayed one way or the other when he makes a report
Well,
like
that
this.
stamp signifies he is a licensed professional engineer, licensed by the state of Louisiana, and his firm, I'm sure, has significant liability insurance to back up his professional opinion. So, yeah, when...
Now, on top of this, what they spent $25,000 to $30,000 to do, now we have our engineering come in and look over this and give us also a recommendation, unbiased, on our side, works for us.
Well, I don't think your engineer is completely unbiased, because I think his job is to protect the interests of the city of Harahan.
Right.
Just like my responsibility is to look at this project from the best interests of the city of Harahan.
So, you're
and I
looking
come
for
to the
holes, he's looking for holes. That's something he can, no, I don't agree with that.
That professional engineer is trying to find the best solution for his client, and we representing you and helping you, we're going to see where are the holes, as you say, and as the mayor said, what does the city of Harahan need to make this sewer system work and make this drainage system work? And it may agree with his report, it may not agree with his report, but at the end of the day, it's what you decide is what the developer will have to
It's
put
back
in.
to my point of the deferral. Now, we have a traffic study here, and this is a completely different type of engineer.
Well, my son is a traffic engineer, and he has the same seal and the same credentials.
But different than the drainage fella. He doesn't do the same.
No, they're very specialized, and so that traffic engineer is a professional engineer who's been to specialized training and has different type of liability
And the
insurance.
cost of this would be about the same.
I'd say 15, 20,000.
So we got maybe $40,000, $45,000 just in these two studies.
In my experience in other projects, I don't know anything about these
And the
particular.
point I'm trying to make, that is why we owe the people that put out the application our time. If they come to our city and spend this type of money to give us these reports, and to look at it and at least give them our best objective on it. Not
Well,
just
there's
know
another
what guys are
reason.
studying.
The folks who own this land, just like the people in the past, have rights as property owners.
But no one in this past has ever given us this. After
We-
the 7 or 8 years I've dealt with it, I've
12
never...
12 years.
12
We've
years
never
we've dealt
gotten
with
to
it.
this point.
We've never gotten these
My
kind of
report
studies.
documents that.
Without
We're as
doing-
far along as we've ever been.
We've always
in
been
12
promised
years.
this if we do the subdivision. You do the subdivision, we'll give you all these studies. This has been done without any approval, any promise from anyone.
Absolutely right.
Mr. Villavasso, I have to say, and Mayor, this will be my last comment, but it was very interesting for me, because I've only been on the council for 3 years, and some of these folks have been doing this much longer than I have. But you go back into the history, and you start from 2000, and this is almost 3 pages long, where he states what happens each year and months of what brought to the council, who was the owner, and the back and forth, and basically the last comment to close it out and conclude is that there's been no decision, you know? So we're faced with a decision. It basically just says inactivity for all of these years since 2000, the back and forths between the owners of the property and whomever was on the council at the time. So that's what we're faced with. But I appreciate the timeline because it was helpful for me to be educated of the history.
Well, I think the context is important, the history of the project, you know, just the physical history and the developmental history of the project. And we have been talking about this for a dozen years, and we've documented 10 deferrals or withdrawals over those 12 years. And as Councilman Landry says, none of those other previous attempts have ever gotten this far.
And the only way we would have gotten this far, if we would have subdivided
And
the
I don't
property
mean
and
far in the
vacated.
sense of getting approved, far in the sense of having this level of information. All the other proposals have been casual or, I will go so far as imagined. We've never had this level of information about a project on this particular piece of property, ever.
Councilman Shanley?
No report.
Councilman Bodier?
No discussion.
All right, thank you. Is Rick Myers still here? Is he out there? All right, how about Jeff? I want to see if they have any questions of our regulatory director.
Mayor?
Yes.
While Jeff's coming up, this is the first time we've ever had an application. People had applied at one time, but they did withdraw it. This is the actual first time it has gone through the entire process.
But their
if I'm
promise was
mistaken.
always, if you give me the subdivision, if you give us the subdivision, we'll get these studies done.
Right.
That was always the promise.
Right. We never received an actual application. Am I correct, Mr. Villavasso?
That's right. Actually, there were 2 actions by the council over that 12-year history regarding this piece of property. One was when we adopted 1333 the first time, and when we rezoned it from R1 to POR, and that was an action of the council based on the master plan and the new zoning ordinance. And then as a result of the lawsuit, which that rezoning spawned, so to speak, as part of the settlement agreement, and by the way, the city did not pay the legal fees of the other side in that settlement. As part of the settlement, without prejudice, the city rezoned the property back to R1. And that's the only 2 official actions that have ever happened on this piece of property in its entire history, back to the founding of the city of Harahan.
Thank you.
Mr. Charlet? First of all, you want to make a correction that the south side of the highway, explain that about the decrease or the increase in flood insurance premiums?
Oh, definitely. Many of you may have noticed in the paper that the FEMA is considering a new flood insurance rating map for Jefferson Parish as well as adjoining parishes in southeast Louisiana. And so they've been having a public hearing comment period. I've seen a few of you there at those meetings. The public comment period ended September 30th. FEMA will take all the questions, concerns, look at each one of them, and come back in approximately 90 days. So we're probably looking at end of the year, early next year, where FEMA will declare the preliminary maps that we have now, will declare them as adoptable. And actually, the city will have 60 days in which to adopt the map if we want to continue to participate in the National Flood Insurance Program. So the point I was trying to make there, Mayor, is that all of the property south of Jefferson Highway to the river, currently, most of it is in an AE flood zone. I think Steve's report y'all were just talking about illuminates that. FEMA is proposing to change all of that property to an X zone, which is not in the special flood hazard area. So
That's the cheapest, right?
absolutely, absolutely. Probably to put it in terms that's easy to understand, the 100-year flood zone, as Steve has said, represents a 1% chance of flooding in any given year. Outside the special flood hazard area, Zone X, it's 0.2 of a chance, 0.2 of 1% chance of happening in any given year. So it's a fifth of that. Bottom line to that is, previously, in a special flood hazard area, flood insurance would be required if there were any federal dollars involved in the mortgage, and many banks require it regardless. After the map changes, and it will change to X, carrying flood insurance would be optional, and it'll certainly be at a far less amount. So your premium's going to go down, no question about it. The only exception to that is if you have experienced repetitive losses, it may not go down for you. But by and large, I think, from the information I have, everyone is going to greatly benefit from this map change. Yeah, it's going to be. And you'll have the option whether to carry it or not, too. I mean,
Just quick, I know you're the floodplain manager for the city. Does Colonial Country Club property have any impact on flood insurance rates? I'm not saying flood, I'm saying flood rates.
none whatsoever. If I can elaborate a little bit, I do many exercises, the point of which are to try and reduce your premiums further. One of those activities is claiming open space, that property which is deed restricted, that there can't be any buildings on it. I've heard in the previous meeting someone say that we're going to lose the open space of Colonial and that's going to make our insurance rate. That's not correct whatsoever. The property is never deed restricted to be open space. It's never been claimed as open space. Conversely, should this project go forward and get approved and land is set aside for drainage or open space, I will absolutely claim that, and it will further reduce your premiums.
Mr. Shelley, what are your credentials as far as,
Mayor, I'm the CLS coordinator for the city. I'm a certified floodplain manager. I'm a certified building official, and I'm certified in several other construction inspection.
what was your position with the parish?
I was a regulatory manager for the parish. That was, I would be the ranking in the classified service of the parish. I served in Jefferson code enforcement from 1979 to 2009 when I retired.
And do you have a position with the state somewhere as far as credentials?
Well, I've served on several committees of the Louisiana Uniform Construction Code Council to study building codes and related flood requirements for the benefit of the legislature.
And you retired from Jefferson Parish, correct?
Yes, sir.
And what type of education did you achieve to be able to do what you do?
Well, I, as a certified builder, well, aside from the 30 years experience, to maintain the certifications I've achieved, obviously, it took much study, a lot of training. I have continuing education requirements for all my certifications, but by and large, the 35 years of doing it is, I continue my education. I'm required to. I belong to the committees. I go to the meetings. I complete and file the reports for flood, for FEMA, for the city. And so it's pretty involved, and it's what I do.
Well, let's say since January as our flood plain director, coordinator, whatever you are, how many sessions have you attended for conferences?
Well, we've worked directly with FEMA's Risk Map 6 in the development of...
And they meet somewhere?
Yes, sir. Former Mayor Ferrera and I have attended a couple meetings at the Yenny Building. I've attended myself several meetings at playgrounds around the area, but we're always, it's a little complex, but ISO, who is the National Insurance Service Organization, they ought to your flood insurance, what Property Insurance Association of Louisiana is to fire insurance. And so we're continuous. I belong to a committee of Jefferson Parish communities where all we do is talk about how to improve our rating for flood insurance.
Anybody else have any questions? I'm sorry.
Just one real quick. Mr. Charlet, have we, looking at the new FEMA map, have we made any suggestions? Are we going to take all of FEMA's suggestions? Is there anything that we want to rebut?
FEMA did the hydraulic and the hydrologic studies.
Mm-hmm.
It does not, I beg to differ with those that say the pump to the river won't help the city of Harahan. First, it wasn't considered in the new maps because FEMA only considers those drainage improvements that are completed.
Right.
Because they can't model something that's not completed. And so that's just a fact.
Right.
So no, we have not offered any objections.
And how long do we have before we offer any objections? Any objections?
The public comment period ended September the 30th.
Okay. Okay, I have a question for you. The new FEMA flood map does not have Colonial 88 acres as holding area number 48. Are you aware of that?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Okay, the new FEMA flood map does not have on its map showing where Colonial property is a holding area, ponding area
No.
number 48.
No, the preliminary map, the one that's
No.
being proposed to
Right.
be adopted, no.
Might I suggest that was on there, that we do use it for holding, and everybody's been quite aware that it is, that it be put on there?
Are you saying that the neighborhood has been
Well, you
passing
said
its
that-
water
you
to the
said-
golf course?
You said it in something, I think at some point, that everything drifts that way anyway, that it is a holding pond?
No, I
One of you?
don't believe I said anything like that, but what I may have said in the past is that I know when the golf course welcomed the water because they were able to retain it on site, release it, and hold it for irrigation. But no, I don't think it was ever intended that would be a retention area for any neighborhood.
And it's not, and I have to look this up, I'm still trying to research it, that originally it was made, part of it was so that things could flow that way, as some of it does flow that way.
I don't know that
Okay.
to be a fact.
I don't know, I'm still looking that up, and I don't know whether to be a fact or not. I do know one fact, though. In your CRS report, and I am going to disagree with you about your CRS report, the CRS report has a certain point in it where it has open space and green space for, and I can't remember if it's 549 or something like that, but that in your particular one, it says that we have 81 acres of open space. And we get approximately 60-something points for that.
You may be confusing that area with the River Batcher, which is claimed. And it is quite large.
And how long is the River Batcher?
And the river Batcher is in a special flood hazard area, obviously, because it's outside the protection levy.
So
And
you're
so
saying
that
those
open
points-
space is claimed.
Okay, so that's where we're getting that open space
That's
from?
correct.
Okay.
By and large.
And by and large, and they're getting no points for Colonial whatsoever?
Absolutely not.
Okay, and never have gotten any points?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. And we could get points if it was designated an open
I would
space.
absolutely jump on it.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to clarify that, because I did see that it had 81 acres, and it was so close to Colonial's 88 acres that I just didn't understand that.
Yeah, I'll get with you after.
Yeah, I'd like to know what is actually in that, what that 81 acres agree with.
Without the specific, it's by and large the river batcher, and there are a couple small parks that the city owns.
And do we have that as open area? Is that
Yeah.
part, because what is,
Yeah.
Sony, it's like 15 acres, and that little bitty one is, the little
Yeah.
bitty one, okay.
Yeah,
Serang Park's tiny.
They're
and-
small. They're
okay.
smal, but I actually have it, I'll show it to you after.
Okay, I just want to know what's in that, okay?
Sure.
And the river batcher's considered POR, correct, Mr. Vilvasso? The river batcher's all considered POR when we did the new map?
It is.
No?
Some of it is and some of it's
Some
non-urban
of it
batcher.
isn't, okay. So we
Right.
got most of the river batcher is POR.
It isn't really respected to zoning.
Except where the
It's green, yeah.
company is.
I was going to have him move over because the map's back there. I was going to take a look at it. Yeah, I see, okay. It's split, okay. Yeah, all right, just curious. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Anybody else? Real quick, Melinda, I'm gonna ask you if you can explain this briefly. Okay.
You wait here just for...
When all this controversy was going around, I kind of put together a chart today. And it was a comparison of the property in River Ridge to a property in Harahan. And I based it on a home of a $200,000 value with an assessment value of your homestead exemption of $75,000. So in Harahan, yeah, on a $200,000 home with your homestead exemption, right now your taxes in between Jefferson Parish and the city taxes of Harahan are about $750 annually. In River Ridge, for that same home, with their Jefferson Parish taxes, their taxes are $1,350 annually. So that was just a comparison between property values and Harahan and what we pay annually for our taxes here compared to River Ridge, which has a higher assessment value millage-wise. So their taxes are $1,350 a year. Where here in Harahan, ours are just $750. And I did call the assessor's office today, and they're the ones who gave me that $1,350. Just thought it'd be information.
Thank you. Chief, I'm sorry, old chief, can you,
10 minutes.
he's gonna give the report? Okay. Chief, you wanna come up here? Sure. And then, Captain, you wanna come up?
Following are the numbers of calls handled by the Harahan Police Department during the month of September. Number of calls for service, 760. Number of auto accidents reported, 15. Number of citations issued, 124. Number of charges, 181. No funeral escorts, 1 patrol request. Number of arrests, 51. Total number of charges, 88. Of those, 15 were for traffic, 12 were for felony, 50 for misdemeanor, 11 city arrests. As far as uniform crime reporting crimes, no murders, no rapes, no robberies, no attempted robberies, no residential burglaries, no non-residential burglaries, no attempted burglaries, no motor vehicle thefts, no attempted motor vehicle thefts, 6 larceny thefts, and non-assaults. And probably of those 9, 8 of those were domestic violence related. And I just want to let everybody know this is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So you see anything that looks like that, we want to know about it. Also, we have 2 awards that we're going to give out tonight. Officer Yeager. On October 2nd of this year at about 4:30 p.m., Officer Melissa Yeager, was off duty on Airline Highway near the intersection of Palmetto Street in the city of New Orleans, where she heard gunfire erupt. While most people were trying to flee the area where the gunfire was, Officer Yeager ran towards the danger to see if she could render assistance. What Officer Yeager discovered was a scene of horror and chaos. Officer Yeager found a woman in her mid-30s and a 7-year-old girl trying to flee the scene while bleeding from several gunshot wounds. Not knowing if the shooter was still in the area, Officer Yeager immediately ran to the above shooting victims and began to render aid. Officer Yeager made sure that the police and emergency medical services were notified, and she began to administer first aid to the victims. While another person tended to the 7-year-old girl, Officer Yeager began using articles of clothing such as a T-shirt and a bandana to apply pressure to the woman's bleeding wounds. When Officer Yeager was unable to find anything else to use as a bandage to try to stop the woman's bleeding, she used her bare hands to apply pressure over a gunshot wound to the woman's stomach. Officer Yeager continued to render first aid and continued to advise and encourage the victims that help was on the way until emergency medical services arrived and took over the medical treatment of the victims. Once the emergency medical services took over the medical treatment of the victims, Officer Yeager's endeavor was not yet over. While covered in blood of the victims, Officer Yeager remained on the scene to provide whatever information she could to the New Orleans Police Department, police officers, and detectives in order for the New Orleans Police to accurately document this incident and provide possible clues to solve this horrendous crime. Again, Harahan Police Officer Melissa Yeager was off duty during the time of this horrific event, and even if she was on duty in the jurisdiction of where she was employed, her actions, which ultimately aided in saving the lives of the above 2 victims, was above and beyond the scope of her professional duties. Officer Yeager put the lives and safety of others before her own and displayed an exuberant amount of humanitarianism while at the same time displaying her humility, as she has not previously accepted recognition for her heroic actions. Therefore, Officer Yeager will be awarded the life-saving award for her actions. And let me just add a little aside to that. Some friends of mine in New Orleans actually handled this case, and they said if she would not have performed the duties that she did, that would have been death. That would have been a homicide. So. Thank you very much. I'd like to call up Sergeant Ronald Lytell. On Saturday, August 31st, 2013, about 2:49 a.m., Harahan Police Sergeant Ronald Lytell was working uniform patrol duty in a marked Harahan police unit when he observed a red-colored sports utility vehicle driving eastbound in the 6400 block of Jefferson Highway with no visible license plate displayed. Sergeant Lytell activated the emergency lights and siren in his police unit and a pursuit ensued when the vehicle failed to yield. The suspect traveled at speeds in excess of 70 miles an hour on Jefferson Highway towards the Huey P. Long Bridge. The suspect vehicle then traveled across the Huey P. Long Bridge in excess of 80 miles an hour and entered the Bridge City area. Sergeant Lytell was able to follow the above vehicle as it attempted to evade Sergeant Lytell through several neighborhood streets. While trying to evade Sergeant Lytell on those streets, the driver and only occupant exited the moving vehicle and began to flee on foot, thus causing the suspect vehicle to collide with a fence and ultimately come to a stop. Sergeant Lytell was able to provide a description of the suspect by a Jefferson Parish Police Office dispatch, and Sergeant Lytell safely stopped his police to pursue the above suspect on foot. Sergeant Lytell followed closely behind the fleeing suspect while ordering him to stop. At one point in the foot pursuit, the suspect dropped a loaded handgun. Sergeant Lytell continued to order the suspect to stop, to which the suspect refused to comply with Sergeant Lytell's lawful commands. The suspect retrieved the handgun that he had dropped and continued to flee on foot. During the above foot pursuit and after retrieving the handgun, the suspect attempted to discard the loaded handgun by throwing it over a fence while running. Sergeant Lytell was able to make a mental note of where the suspect discarded the handgun and continued to pursue the suspect. A short time later, Sergeant Lytell was able to apprehend the above suspect. A struggle ensued, and ultimately resulting in Sergeant Lytell being able to arrest and properly handcuff the suspect. Other officers and Jefferson Parish Sheriff's deputies arrived on the scene and helped secure the above suspect, who was later identified as Kevin Johnson. Sergeant Lytell was able to immediately relocate to the yard where the suspect discarded the handgun, where he secured the handgun for the crime scene and to avoid the loaded firearm coming into contact with a citizen. It was later learned that Kevin Johnson is a known ranking member of the Murder Money Gang, and Kevin Johnson is not only a convicted felon, but that he is also a suspect in multiple felonies as well. Sergeant Lytell was able to safely apprehend the suspect without either the suspect or himself becoming injured in this incident. Therefore, due to his valiant efforts and success in safely apprehending the above violent criminal, Sergeant Lytell is being awarded a Class C commendation for his outstanding service to the community. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right, Madam Clerk, where are we?
Secretary's report. Secretary's report for September. Revenues, $230,413.18. Pay the bills. You want to do that? The council paid the bills in September in the amount of $484,151.99.
All right, reports. Councilman Hewitt?
No report.
Councilman Murray?
Yes, just please, anybody who'd like to speak with me, my email and my telephone numbers are on the website, cityofharahan.com, and I'd like to commend everybody that the new website looks great. And our city clerk, I believe it, I'm not sure if there's anybody else who's involved in that. Thank you all for getting that done, and you will be updating that, I'm sure. So thank you all very much for doing that.
Councilman?
Thank you.
Gentlemen?
I'd like to thank everybody for calling, expressing your feelings. If I make someone upset, I don't mean to. But I love the phone calls. I was elected to this position by the citizens of Harahan. I want to represent the citizens of Harahan. If you're in favor of the project, call me. If you're against the project, call me. If your street light's out in front of your house, call me. If you have any problems, call me. I'll try to address them the best I can. Everything can't be handled immediately, but I will address everything I can do as fast as I can. Feel free to call me, and if I don't answer, I'm sure I'll call you back. Thank you.
Councilman Landry?
No report tonight.
Councilman Bode?
Just want to remind everybody, don't forget that the Pecan Festival is November 8th, 9th, and 10th. Please come out. It's a lot of fun for the children. Just also, on the side, we all are working very hard to come up with a good, educated decision on this plan. And I know I was the one who stepped up and allowed George's in there my first reading, and I would do the same for anyone in this community. I don't believe, as Councilman Landry stated earlier, to deny anyone the right, especially the effort that these people have put forth to, to try to work with us and try to come up with something good for us. I just want everybody to know that it is a lot. It's been very overwhelming. The phone calls have been incredible. It's a lot of hard work. Right now, it's not kind of fun to be a councilman. It's the hardest I've ever worked doing this, and it's the most complaining and screaming and hollering I've ever heard, as well as, the most phone calls that I've ever gotten since I've been a councilman, whether yay or nay. And it's a tough job, and I wanted to just commend all my other councilmen and how hard we've worked on this project, and that's it.
Well, I ask you to bear with me. I have three things. If you want to cut through the red tape and you have a light that's out, call me. Now, with all due respect, but I find that there was, a few years ago, there was an individual who owns a video poker company that wanted to put a video poker truck stop in a residential neighborhood across the river. And the neighbors were irate about it, up in arms. More people there than were ever here. And the Jefferson Parish Council looked at the project. All the neighbors said they were against it, all the neighbors. But the council voted for it. Now, the parish president criticized that council for voting for it, putting a video poker truck stop in a residential neighborhood. Well, that's the same man who filed a recall petition against me. I want y'all to know it. He doesn't want it in his backyard, but it's all right to make money in somebody else's backyard.
Oh, he owned the truck stop?
Right.
Oh, wow, okay.
Now, I've been criticized recently about how I handled the FEMA issue for our city during Isaac. And I can't comprehend that we did the best we could to clean the streets as fast as we could. I think everyone can agree that we did a really decent job. Even Mr. Thompson would agree with that. We even blow-dried the streets. Well, FEMA has only paid us so far about $100,000. And I'm in an argument with them about what we are going to get paid. Now, right now, they're thinking about paying us another $300,000. I want more than that. But I did a contract, which I hope all of you would feel free to come see at City Hall. The contract that I did with the people, and instead of hiring one contractor, I hired 3 so we could get the place cleaned up quicker. One guy didn't go this way. I divided the city into thirds. And you could plainly see they were blow drying the street, the little soot and the little twigs and stuff. But the contract I did said, and I quote, "You agree to accept as your fee whatever FEMA will approve." Now, I don't know what FEMA will approve, but that's the argument I got with FEMA right now, because they're saying to me, you shouldn't have done that. You should have set a price. I said, well, I don't know, the price is whatever you approve. So now what they decided to do is to take a survey of Jefferson Parish and Kenner and come up with the average of what they paid, and they're going to pay our vendors that. I'm holding money back for these people. But the bottom line is at the time, I just wanted to be fair. Whatever you want to approve, these people can make. Now, they were saying to me, look, you can pay them whatever you want, but don't leave it up to FEMA. And I'm telling FEMA, well, why can't I leave it up to you? He says, we don't operate like that. You should pay them, whatever the price is, and just tell us. Well, what I did is I tried to get local people in close proximity to the city. We started picking up the day after the hurricane. And about 2 weeks later, we were clean. Jefferson Parish, if you remember, had hired out-of-town people, and they hadn't come in yet to do the job. So I just want to assure people, I'm going to get the most I can out of FEMA. When Hurricane Katrina came, Paul Johnson was mayor, he got 100% for Katrina from the federal government. The law has now changed. They only give us 75%. I don't know why they changed the law, but no matter, what 25%, we don't get. The government keeps it. I mean, I'm saying keeping it, but I don't know, I guess they're trying to save money. I don't know. But I just want you to rest assured I'm doing the best I can, trying to get that money. And, I mean, Jefferson Parish hasn't gotten all of their money yet either. They're very, very, very slow. I'm just so surprised they take so long, but it's a bureaucracy much bigger than Harahan. So thank you, and anybody else? Motion to adjourn by Murray, second by Bodier. We adjourn.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you.